Alrighty, y'all. Hello, and welcome back to part 2 of foods in Europe, European countries rather, and of course the United States. You know, we're going to be taking a look at some foods like the exact same food and see how they differ, which that should be pretty interesting. And then, of course, you know, quality, food safety standards. Why are they so much seemingly better in European countries? What's exactly wrong with most of the American food, right, is it's pretty alarming. And just the frustration of why finding good food, which you can find really good quality food here in the U.S., just seems to be a lot harder than it should be, especially compared to some European countries. I think this should be pretty enjoyable, but of course, really educational. So let's see what we can find.
Okay, I would say, and I could be wrong, but I see apple pie as an American thing.
Okay.
But even if it's from somewhere else, it has been perfected by Americans. When you think of an apple pie, you think of an American apple pie.
How culture blind can you be?
Are you kidding me? This looks very dry and more condensed.
Oops.
Versus
Sorry, I don't know how that paused.
It's very gooey and wet. Okay, I'll make my first comment. Already significantly less sugar.
Oh yeah.
And you can tell. Like, not in a bad way though.
That's all it is. And you're saying that America perfectionized whatever they made with sugar.
It's more of also like a consistency. Okay. In the America versus European food wars, I vote the desserts as a win for Europe. Okay, I would say, and I could be wrong, but
I thought she was going to choose America from the way that kind of was going. Right, it almost made it sound like she liked the consistency better of the American apple pie, and of course, you know, sugared up treat. But you know, this has been the theme in my taste testing videos. Right, a lot of times you'll find similar things or the same product from, you know, somewhere in Europe, and then of course the U.S. And I always kind of prefer. It's just how it is, right? Like I just prefer the lighter, flakier texture and the far less sugar blast hit you get from the European version, right? There's always less sugar. Sometimes there's, you know, much better ingredients, but of course it is just always like a lighter thing. And, you know, it is all preference, right? Of course, there's going to be people that prefer the sweetest thing ever. You know, I don't really understand it, but, you know, you do you, if that's what you like. So more sugar, the better. There's people that prefer, you know, really heavy kind of desserts, candy, whatever it is, right? And, you know, in that case, I guess they would probably love the American version more often than not. Also, it is funny that a lot of people, right? Another thing that Americans love to claim, you know, apple pie is so American, right? Apple pie is older than the USA. American apple pie is diabetes pie with apple taste.
There's a really big difference between the US and Europe. When I buy eggs in the US, I make sure that they're pasture raised, cage free, organic if possible, and like all these different markers, and they're like $14 sometimes. And in Europe, if I have to buy like the most basic eggs with no organic anything, I know that I'm getting like a real egg. Maybe, I don't know, they might put some like fertilizers or something, I don't know. But I know that it's not to the degree of me buying like the most basic eggs, the ones that are like super white at the grocery store in the US. So I was running late and I had to buy like just like a basic box of eggs at like the closest grocery store to me, which isn't like the nice one that I like to go to that has like all the different little labels. But I bought this one and they literally have feathers on it. It's got feathers from the chickens. Like that's how real they feel. They look like different.
Realistic.
They don't all look picture perfect. They've got little smidges of feather on them.
Wow, that is legit.
Like the food in here, there's like a baseline for how good and natural the food has to be. That just makes it instantly better than the US. Their baseline for what like the standard, cheapest, most normal product you can get at the grocery store.
That's insane.
Is way higher than the one in the US. And that is what makes the biggest difference and gives a higher quality of life to everyone, and not just the people that can pay for the premium labels to make sure that you're eating something natural and not hormone fed.
I'm glad. That was actually very well done on her part. She kind of nailed it there. If I can expand upon that. So there are, you know, if you go to a bigger supermarket, there's a pretty good choice of eggs, right? And it's going to be like 80%, you know, normal or like cheaper eggs here in the U.S. And they're going to be, like she said, they're not very natural looking. They're like bright white, super pristine, clean looking and white in like this basic carton. And they're cheap, you know, like, I don't know, maybe $3 or $4 for a dozen eggs. Okay. And then, you know, it goes up a little bit from there. Then they have like all these labels, right? There's organic eggs, there's organic cage free, there's organic grass fed, free range, you know, like there's all these monikers everywhere. It's a little bit overwhelming. Also, it's a shame because some of them can be a play on words. It could be misleading. They can get that certification while not technically really following what they're claiming. It's a whole deal. I mean, the FDA is a mess here. Yeah, I think we've all heard that before. It is very confusing as a consumer, but it goes up from there. So you want one of these fancy eggs with the, you know, brighter looking carton with all the certifications and stuff. It does become, you know, $10, $11, $12, $14 for that dozen eggs versus, you know, the cheaper eggs are $3 or $4. Now, of course, those are going to be brown and have spots on them and stuff, so they're going to look more like eggs should look, like realistic. Unfortunately, because the cheap ones just kind of gross me out, like we buy the more expensive ones, but it sucks at... Sorry, my cat is biting my feet down there. We have to kind of shell out for the more expensive ones just because we want realistic eggs, right? And that's kind of a shame. She hit that on the head at the end there because that should just be the standard, right? In European countries, it seems like you will find what we pay for the premium eggs, your just standard eggs would be. These, the ones she's showing in the European country, honestly, are still even better because they're as real as it gets. I mean, there's literally feathers on them still, right? You're just not going to find that here. It's just like a totally different thing.
September 7th, 2024. This is the bread you get from Wick, and look at how completely, perfectly fine it is. Like every piece.
September 27th, 2024 is when this is supposed to be, like, eaten by. And she's filming this on June 29th this year, 2025. Almost a full year after this is supposed to be done. Look at how, like, new it looks still. Holy smokes. You almost have to be impressed on one hand. Like, how is that even possible? But on the other hand, you have to also realize how not natural is that, right? Real bread does not freaking last a year. That's not normal. That's insane. What kind of chemicals and modified to the sun and back ingredients are we dealing with here?
It's just perfectly fine. Like, look at this.
This is not how bread's supposed to be.
What do they put in this
my
bread
God.
to make it last literally forever? It's literally like a sponge.
Oh, man, that's wild. Look at it holds its shape, too.
That's
That is
not
crazy.
bread. It's not bread. Why did they give this to us?
The fact that you can fold it and squish it and it just goes back to the perfect shape, too, it is very weird, right?
What is this?
It's why I don't eat that bread. Like, this is your typical American bread, loaves of bread you'll find, like, in every store. You have to find somewhere local, which is hard to do here. You know, it's not easy like it is in European cities. Like, you have to find a really good bakery, and of course it's going to cost you an arm and a leg if you do. Otherwise, you have to find, you have to make your own bread here, which unfortunately, you know, that's a whole task, but you have to do it. Or you have to find, there's only like a couple really good brands that are frozen breads because they only have like 3 or 4 ingredients. They don't have sugars. They don't have any preservatives. That's what I buy. And of course, you know, it costs twice as much as this. But at least I know it's real. This is like, wow. I'm an American, and unfortunately, this is not even appealing to me. I don't know. I'm sure anyone outside the U.S. watching this right now would be mind blown. Yeah, there are definitely preservatives in there you shouldn't be consuming. I would have to agree. And of course, you know, brands like this, 100% whole wheat bread, right? Bioengineered ingredients. So, you know, really, God knows what's in this, right? But I would love to hear people from European countries' opinion on bread like this. I something tells me that, well, not many at all. Not many people buy bread like this abroad.
This is American cake, and I have a problem.
What?
It looks cute. Look at that.
Yeah, it's a good looking cake.
It looks good. It looks good. So you buy it. Look at this. Look at this.
It looks all
What is
right.
this?
Maybe a little dry.
In Europe, we have a layer, the cake, then we have panna, then we have fruit, we have other things. So it is a blooming creation, the ingredients. Here, nothing. And your frosting. America, somebody need to tell you, I think I'm the right person. I hate your frosting. Oh, your frosting in the cakes. I hate it.
You know, this one is just too broad, right? Like, first of all, I imagine there's so many different cakes in European countries, right? There's so many different cakes here. For example, frosting, oh my God, there are some cakes I've had here where I absolutely despise the frosting. It is just like inedible for me, right? That is true. There are some cakes that are just gross, and it usually comes down to the frosting. Now, there's some cakes that are straight up addicting because the frosting is so freaking good. You know what I mean? And then, of course, I'll admit it, right? I keep it real with you guys all the time, whether it makes me look good or not. Like, look, I'm pretty basic when it comes to cake. This cake right here, right up my alley, right? Now, if it had one of the frostings I don't like, then, of course, I would hate this cake as well. But let's assume the frosting is decent. This cake right here, I'm all about it. I don't have a problem with that at all. I like simple cakes, maybe just one layer of something in between. Typically not fruit or whatever, though. Now, what this guy's wrong about is we do have tons of cakes, right? Go into any, panaderia, right? Any supermercado, right? Like, we have Mexican grocery stores. We have international grocery stores. You know, there's tons of different cakes, right? The Euro store I shop at frequently has all different types of cakes I've never even heard of. I haven't tried yet either. Maybe it's time. But, there's tons of cakes you can get here. And typically, my wife prefers cakes for gatherings that, are the cakes, I'm not very fond of, but I think would be more up this guy's wheelhouse, which is, cakes with multiple layers of fruits and all these different things, right? So we definitely have those here, pretty, relevant as well. This is more of a basic cake, right? Or a birthday cake or something where it's just like cake with a thin layer of something in the middle, and that's it, right? And then, of course, the layer of frosting on the outside. This is what I prefer. Less is more for me with cakes. And maybe I'm in the minority there. That's fine. But for me, I love fruits, but I don't like fruits in cake. Like, if I want fruits, I'll have a bowl of fruit. If I want cake, I want cake. I don't like mixing them. Maybe, I'm crazy for that, but that's just how I am.
It's not mangiabile. It's just butter. And the people, so good this cake. Go in Europe. Go live your life.
Then how did they make the frosting in Europe then?
How you can like the frosting? How you can
I don't know. I don't know about this one.
This is American.
That's pretty funny, though. He is saying Italian cakes are better than American cakes in the description, and he also just said European cakes in general are better. We need to Google an Italian cake, right? What is this guy talking about? Italian cake. Let's see. Let's see what it pulls up. All right. I wonder what he's referring to. Something like this. I mean, yeah, there's multiple layers. I don't see it too crazy, though. Okay. We got, what, almonds in there or something? Cashews? I can't tell. It looks kind of good, though. I'm not going to lie. It does look good. Right? I mean, I like how it's got a little more going on. A little more spunk to it. It's all preference. I don't know. I have to say, like, looking at these, it does look pretty good. I guess I'd have to try it. And if I really liked it, then maybe he's right. This is definitely more, involved. A little more exciting, you could say. I will give him that, right? This isn't quite so basic like the cake he was looking at. Someone adds here, that's a store-bought cake. And it is, right? Like, if you go to regular supermarkets, they have, kind of basic, like, generic bakery items that are, just churned out multiples a day, and they're good, they're decent, but they're not like great, right? And they're of course a lot more affordable than going to a full-on bakery. So if you want a real cake, go to a bakery. That's one thing, speaking of sugar and stuff, right? That's one thing we do well here. See, we don't do bakeries well when it comes to fresh bread and sourdough and all these like realistic things, right? Like you could find in cities in European countries. I'm very jealous of what you guys have over there. But we do have bakeries in the sense that sweet bakeries, and we have tons of those, and there's a lot of choices, right? And they're pretty good. They're probably not good for you, but I will say there's a lot of sugary magic when it comes to a real bakery. The cake is going to be much more crafted than this one that was shown, and tastes a lot better as well.
I just moved to London from the US. The food quality here is so much better. Let me show you an example. So
More
first
eggs.
I want to say these are free range eggs. They're not organic. Side note, they always say where their eggs are from, and these ones are British.
See, that's cool.
Which most of them are in the store. But anyway, I want to show you guys how much higher quality just a conventional free range egg is. In the US, a conventional...
Wow, see, ours don't even have stamps on. You see how it has information on the eggs? I noticed that on another video a while ago too. We don't have that at all. So that's an interesting difference. And then, of course, these are what look to be like basic eggs or maybe one above. And they're what our full-on, extremely expensive, most expensive choice eggs look like here. That's what blows my mind. Like, I guarantee this carton of eggs right here was a lot cheaper than that sort of quality egg here, right? Ours would be like twice the price because you'd have to buy the most expensive ones to try and compete with this.
egg yolk would be yellow.
Crazy.
Don't believe me? Go crack one and compare it to the color that this will be. Look at how orange this is. I'm moving it to the light so you can get a better view, but like...
Now, she's losing me there.
You want an oranger egg yolk because that means it has
more nutrients.
I just moved to London from the US.
That one I'll have to leave in a gray area because I have no doubt about that there are some sketchy products and some less than satisfactory eggs and food choices here. No doubt. But I would be very concerned if I cracked an egg open and it wasn't this general color, right? And I feel like the video capture is not even showing you guys correctly. This is like a deeper orange. It might show up yellow on whatever you're watching this on, but it should be more of like a orangish yellow color. And it usually is, even with American eggs, in my experience. I wouldn't want to eat it if it was like a pale yellow, like she's kind of inferring there. So that's weird. People in the comments are actually in agreement that they're like, I've never seen a U.S. egg that was like pale yellow. So yeah, that's, I think she missed the mark there.
A lot of people will say, I feel so much better when I eat in Europe, but that's because they're sitting for long periods of time when they're having their meals. And there's great data to show that when you actually sit and you experience what you're actually eating, that's much better for your digestion. Versus like in America, a lot of times we're like eating on the go and we're running around. And so then it can cause digestive issues. Being kind of locked in on what you're eating can be very helpful. A lot of people will say, I feel so much better when I eat in Europe.
There is no doubt in my mind that the average standards, organic ingredients, way less dyes and preservatives and chemicals and enriched flour and all these BS we use over here. I've no doubt that European countries in general have better quality standards and ingredients. But also, I think there's probably some truth to what she's saying. We haven't heard this angle much, but the way people consume foods, you actually realize as an adult, right? It's not something I would think about like as a kid or even my younger self. But there is some truth to the way you consume food, no matter what that food is, that can have different outcomes, right? When you eat during the day, how fast you eat, what are you doing? Are you eating on the go, in the car, right? Like she showed people with the burrito, like in the foil, right? That is very American, just always eating on the go, stuffing it down quickly and while you're doing other things. And I imagine that's probably not great, right? Because there's a subconscious readiness and quickness in doing that can't possibly be very good for your body, right? That is some level of stress, whether it's conscious or subconscious, right? And being on the go and shoving the food down, I feel like that's just not good. It's not good for digestion. It's not good for absorbing the food properly. So I think this probably does have some truth to it. I think if you're sitting down for, some of these stories I hear in Europe, it's very common to sit down for 2, 3, 3.5 hours to have these dinners, to multi-course meals. That's got to be better. You're more relaxed. You're eating and you're talking Maybe you're eating at a slower pace. Not to mention, you're going to be walking more, right? Everyone hears about that. You just have to walk more, usually in European scenarios, European city scenarios. People probably go for walks after their meal. After 3 hours of sitting down, they go for a walk. Everything about it has got to be better.
Y'all ever hear people say how when they go to European countries, the food is just so much better, it's fresh, it doesn't taste like chemicals, blah, blah, blah. I never really believed that because it's like, how much different can it be, right? John and I have been in Ireland for a week now. And when I tell you that we've been eating, okay? Enjoying food is delicious, 10 out of 10. The US could never. But when I tell you that I'm losing weight, I don't feel bloated. Like if I had a slice or 2 slices of pizza in the US, I would feel bloated, big, inflated. Here, we've been eating.
I don't think people watching this could comprehend if you haven't been to the US. That is one of the biggest things, right? Like you could find tasty food here. Like there's no doubt. Remember, this is not a bashing of, one or the other, right? There's tons of good food here. There's tons of variety. I love it. Like the food culture here is strong. It's just, it's a shame that it's so hard to find really good food it's hard to find tasty food. And if you do find it, it's usually very expensive. It's hard to find tasty, good quality food. If you do find it, it's very expensive, right? That's the thing is all the food that's easily accessible and affordable is just not good, right? The standards here are just bad. And that's the truth. It's not bashing it. It's just the truth. And I don't think people realize who haven't been here, when you have just some pizza, some chicken, some simple foods that are accessible, they might taste good and all that, but then you eat it and you literally look like for a few hours after, everything bloats up. Your face, your chest, your stomach, wherever. It can affect different people different ways. But I mean, it might look like you gained 20 pounds, which is a lot, right? You didn't actually gain that, but you swell up. Like as someone who used to be a lot more fitness oriented, I'm very in tune with my body and how it looks. And you can tell when you eat the wrong meal, it just swells up so fast.
Pizza, pasta, Irish dishes. We've been going to pubs, pub food.
Hell yeah.
And big meals, big meals.
See, he's indulging.
I feel great. I feel energized.
That's crazy,
I don't feel fatigued. I don't feel like
That's so crazy.
I believe when you eat a lot of carbs, you get this like, you go up there and then you come down crashing. I don't feel that at all. Yes, when people say that food out here on this side of the world is that much better for you, they're not lying. Y'all ever hear?
Yeah, I've had many in my social circle. I've had many firsthand accounts that match this. It's pretty wild.
If European food standards are so much better than the United States, then why did the 2022 Global Food Security Index find that the top 3 countries for food quality and safety were Canada, Denmark, and the United States? This means that the United States ranked higher than every...
Wait, why did he say top 3 countries in the United States is 13th? What?
Single European country.
And a bunch of countries in the top 3 are actually European.
Except one. The regulatory differences between American and European food quality
what are we doing
standards are so minor that you shouldn't feel superior about either one. Plot twist, both European and American food standards are still so low quality that instead of us all debating which one is better, we should all push for both standards to be drastically upgraded.
No, I agree there. Food standards just should be better. It's food, right? Like that could go for anywhere. I'm sure we could all do better. Why aren't we? Why aren't our governments doing better, right? I agree with that, but I'm sorry. Like I want to be wrong here. I wish the U.S. had the best food in the world because I live here, right? Who wouldn't want the best quality food? But unfortunately, I'm not sold here. Like, what is this guy talking about? We're not even talking about food quality. We're talking about food security. What even is that? So if we go to the comments, they're pretty funny. Is this American propaganda? You said top 3 and the U.S. is in 12th. See, I'm telling you, that doesn't even make sense. But here we go, right? This is what's interesting. Because food security isn't the same thing as food safety. Food safety is about quality, while food security is the risk of starvation. Okay, see? I knew this was a play on words. I knew food security didn't sound right. USA produce a lot of food while Europe produce good food. And then we scroll down and see this. Like we saw the video a few minutes ago. Why does your bread last 3 months? They're being generous. The bread lasts 12 months. Proof that this man just found a picture on Google and doesn't know what he's talking about. Here we go. They have the chart. Let's do one of these. Here's the Appendix 1, GFSI 2022 results. This is for the Global Food Security Index. And remember, this is food security. So in my opinion, this doesn't really translate to food quality because we all know that there's ingredients banned in basically everywhere else that they just allow free and willy here. We've seen products compared. You know, a lot of, almost 99% of them have way less ingredients. That's why we literally shop at the European store. There's just cleaner ingredients in simple products that are just laced and littered with everything and anything here in the U.S. So I think we already know that. We can draw our own conclusions. But here is the rankings table for food security. And the United States is indeed 13th, right? If we zoom in a little more here, you could see the U.S. at 13. Everywhere ahead of it is basically in Europe, with the exception of Japan and Canada. So even our neighbors to the north, of course, do better on this. Japan and everywhere else is in Europe. So this guy's, unfortunately, this guy's argument doesn't seem to hold up well.
That are banned in Europe but are allowed in America. Number one is bread. You eat bread in Europe, no problem. You eat bread in America, you get all sorts of issues like gut problems and brain fog. There are many toxic ingredients in bread, but one of them that stands out is known as azodicarbonamide. And this is the same chemical that they use in yoga mats and other rubber substances. This is linked to asthma, hormonal disruption, as well as cancer. It is banned in over 30 countries, and there's a reason for it. It's not the bread, it's what's baked into it. Number two,
why do they put this stuff in our
full
food?
Of artificial dyes and food emulsifiers.
Food emulsifiers, that sounds great. Yummy.
As cheese. Colored with petroleum-based dyes, such as yellow number 6.
Yum.
It has emulsifiers that are linked to kidney issues as well as chronic inflammation. It's banned and restricted in over a dozen countries. Real cheese doesn't glow in the dark. Number 3.
I mean, and I'm glad she's saying this stuff. Honestly, relating to what that other guy did say at the end, though, I do agree with. All this stuff just honestly should be banned in more and more places. Like, what are we doing?
On the list, chickens. Chlorine washed. These chickens are raised in filth, rinsed in chemicals, and then served for your meals. The chlorine is meant to kill the bacteria from factory farming. However, it just covers up the contamination. It doesn't prevent it. Chlorine is banned in over 20 plus countries, including the UK, Germany, and Spain. Other countries have cleaned up their farming.
I would love to have some fresh chicken from like the UK, Germany, Spain, wherever she's saying. I do feel like it would hit different. Oh, that would be awesome.
But America is just covering up with bleach. Number 4.
Gotta love it, right?
The hormones RBGH and RBST. More milk means more
I avoid
means
milk
more
here.
profit.
It makes me severely sick. I just don't drink it.
Synthetic hormones to boost their production of milk. However, this in turn raises the IGF-1, and human consumption of this has been linked to cancer. If this is banned in the EU, Canada, and Japan, Europe will not use American milk. Other countries have banned the hormones, but in America, we're just labeling these milk products as healthy. Number 5 on the list, I'd rank right up there with seed oils.
Wow.
It's one of the most toxic things you can consume.
Seed oils are bad.
I wouldn't eat it if I was starving.
They're so hard to avoid here. That's precisely why the only bread I buy is it's like Ezekiel bread is called, and it's only like 4 or 5 ingredients at most. It's all organic stuff, and there's no seed oils, which almost, I think it was like literally 98 or 99% of breads in supermarkets here are like just covered in enriched wheat flour, seed oils, all this other stuff. Seed oils are in everything, though, like everything. And it's very frustrating because you learn over time how bad these can be, and you want to avoid them, but it's very hard to avoid them here, and it's very frustrating.
Farm-raised salmon. These are raised in these contained tanks and areas.
Only get wild caught salmon. Never farm raised.
And they're painted and have synthetic colorings to make them
they use food coloring.
They're natural and they were caught in the wild.
What are we doing,
so
U.S.?
These synthetic colorings. They're fed additives and pesticides. I mean, have you seen these breeders or these farmers that are farming the salmon? They're wearing like gas masks. This has been banned in over 25 countries, including the entire EU. Number 6 on the list, this is actually quite sad. It's tap water because of the fluorine and chlorine.
Chlorine,
it's
PFAS,
the U.S.
lots of bad stuff.
Adds fluoride to drinking water to prevent cavities.
Yeah.
However, this has been linked long-term to thyroid issues, low IQ in children per many scientific studies.
Yeah, we have fluoride in the water, but then every other product with fluoride in it, like multiple toothpaste and stuff, mouthwashes, do not swallow. It says fluoride is harmful if swallowed. Literally says that. You can look this up. It's on containers here. So why is it in the tap water then?
As well as developmental toxicity. This has been banned in over 10 countries. When clean water needs chemical justification, then that's where it stops becoming clean water. Number 7 on the list.
Seems logical.
They say an apple a day keeps the doctor away, but not American apples, because we want the apples to look fresh for as long as we can. But unfortunately, they're coated in a chemical called DPA, diphenylamine, and it's applied to prevent the browning of apples during storage. But unfortunately,
why do we do this?
Breaks down into toxic cancer-causing substances. It's banned in over 20 countries, and you have to remember, food is meant to be perishable. It's not meant to...
It is. Why is this so much of a problem here? Why do we need foods to look like toys, right? I just don't understand it. Why are we dyeing food dye? Why are we putting food dye in things like fish? Why are we putting these chemicals to make fruits look shiny and toy-like for a long time, right? That's not how food from the earth is supposed to operate. Like, it's just not. I don't know who's asking for this, right? I just don't get it. But we all know it comes back to, unfortunately, in America, it seems to come back to corporations, greed, weird regulations, and lobbyists, and under-the-counter deals. It goes deep. You guys probably know the drill. So it's just weird. It's weird, and unfortunately, the American consumer, the normal American families, suffer for this, and we have to really, really work hard to find out what the hell we can even buy without, slowly poisoning ourselves.
Have a long shelf life and sit
It's just tough.
Number
it's
8
tough, man.
on the list is Mountain Dew, because of the BVO, brominated vegetable oil, which is literally a flame retardant. And this is also found in sports drinks like Gatorade, for example. BVO is used to stabilize the citrus flavor. However, it's been linked to memory loss, hormonal disruption, fertility issues, autoimmune. This is banned in over 100 countries. I mean, that right there sends a message, doesn't it? Number
100
9.
countries?
I've never really quite understood how people
and they're putting it in millions of Mountain Dews a day
in their morning drink. It's coffee creamer, like Coffee Mate, because of the trans fat. It doesn't need refrigeration, and it's a dairy product, a creamer. That should have been the first red flag. But these contain partially hydrogenated oils.
Wonderful.
And that's known to cause heart disease. And it's marketed as 0 grams fat, which is completely misleading and deceptive. This is banned in EU, Switzerland, Canada.
And think of how many millions of Americans are drinking coffees, right? Remember, the coffee culture is big here. Everyone loves going to Dunkin' and Starbucks. The problem is they go there daily, right? And they get this. Remember, people aren't drinking coffee or espresso and it looks, dark brown or black. It looks almost white, right? It's littered with so much additives, creamers, milk, foam, all this stuff. So, they love the sugary coffee drinks here. And so that means certainly tons of people are getting exposed to this kind of thing, like Coffee Mate and all that, really, really often. And that's definitely concerning.
America, 0 doesn't mean nothing or none. It actually means there's a lot of something else in there that's going to be harmful. So don't fall for that. Number 10, pork and its products. First of all, let me just preface by saying,
don't other countries not even accept U.S. pork?
Pigs are dirty creatures, and they harbor a lot of parasites and
I try not to eat pork as often as possible.
Pork products, whether it's bacon, ham, sausages, pork chops, you're ingesting all of that, and these parasites and tapeworms go all around the body, including your brain.
Oof.
But ractopamine is the chemical that's used in pork or in pigs to rapidly increase their muscle growth, to get more lean muscle, but they're drugged to the limit. And this has been linked, unfortunately, to tremors, anxiety, heart problems, cancer, and more. It's banned in more countries than it's allowed in. I mean, hello. So you won't see it on a label, but it's in nearly every pork product in America.
I have seen different things over the years where like a lot of our, especially pork, but like a lot of our meats available here in the U.S., other countries just won't even touch. And I'm like, that should be a little bit concerning for us, right?
Meat that you should definitely avoid. Number 11, Fruit Loops and some other cold cereals that really have no nutritional value.
I don't eat cereal. I've said this before if you watch my channel, so I'm sorry you're hearing this again. I don't eat cereals. I ate them as a kid like anyone, at least here in the U.S. That's somewhat normal, but I had to stop because I don't remember how old I was, maybe around 12, 13, 14. I didn't eat cereals like a lot, but I ate them sort of often. But all of a sudden, I remember we bought Fruit Loops. It was that exact one. It was literally Fruit Loops, the exact cereal she's saying. I'm sorry to rip on them, but I ate it like 2 days in a row, and I remember feeling violently ill at school later that day. Actually, it wasn't even later. It was like an hour or two later, and I just felt extremely ill. My stomach hurt. Nothing felt right. It was very weird. And then, like I said, the second day I tried it again because maybe I didn't know it was a cereal the first time. Tried it, I ate it again the next day, and I felt extremely ill again. And I was like, okay, that's the cereal. That's the cereal. That's the Fruit Loops. And that was the day I stopped eating cereal. And that was when I was, like I said, 13 or 14 at the latest. I'm 33 now, so it's been like almost 20 years. No joke. I just do not eat cereal. It does not do well with me. That is American cereals, maybe natural type cereals or oatmeal or whatever would be better, of course, but that's hard to find here. But I have very firsthand experience with that. Unfortunately, I just cannot do U.S. cereals. There's definitely something wrong with those.
They're so toxic and they spike your blood sugar. But it's sold as breakfast, but it's really built like candy. And unfortunately, these contain so many artificial dyes that are linked to hyperactivity, things like ADD, immune issues. It's preserved with BHT, which is a known possible human carcinogen. And this is banned in over 12 countries. In Europe, it actually comes with a warning. In America, it comes with little toys in the boxes.
Yeah, actually, the last time I ate cereal was on this channel. A few months ago, I did do, I think it was like Trix or something. I can't remember. One of the colorful cereals. I did the U.S. version versus a European version we found from, I think it was either Slovakia or Poland from the Euro store. And, of course, the Euro version tasted just as good, but it had less sugar and it had no food dyes in it, And so, like, if you're going to eat it, wouldn't you just at least rather eat that version, right? But, yeah, that one's wild. The fact that, like, some U.S. agencies and companies say that for breakfast you can just have colorful cereal and that's, like, that fits your needs for energy and nutrition as a cereal or as a breakfast, rather. What are we doing here, right? That just sounds funny. It sounds like kind of ridiculous, no? How would that be a supplemental breakfast? And, the comments are riddled with frustrated Americans. That's something, compared to quite a few years ago, I feel like more people are kind of being aware of this kind of thing, right? The food system in the U.S. is keeping us chronically inflamed. Like, we can't eat anything anymore. Profit over people. In Pakistan, my apple got rotten in 2 days. I still have one apple looks perfect in the USA, which I bought 2 months ago. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's not natural. I'm not sure what they're doing here. I just don't understand it. But unfortunately, seems to be hard to ignore things like this. Food equals sick, equals doctor visit, equals pharmacy, equals hospital. They design a cycle. It's really hard not to connect the dots. It is.
As an American in the UK, I'm constantly told that the food back home in America is not up to par with UK standards, with European standards. So what I did was I had an experiment where I ate the same way, lived the same lifestyle, got the same amount of steps in America as I did here in England. And here are the results. So here I am in May of this year in America, eating a gluten-free diet, living a balanced lifestyle, aiming for 10,000 steps. You know, got an okay build, got a bit of a gut there in the midsection, but thankfully my girlfriend loves me for my personality.
I mean, he's in great shape compared to most Americans. And keep in mind, he's eating healthier, right? He's having to put effort in and some money in to eat healthier and gluten-free and all that stuff. But he's still, look at the difference.
Now, this is me in Spain.
That's not even fair. Obviously, he looks a lot more ripped and lean here in Europe. Supposedly, and if we're taking his word, doing the same lifestyle, same foods, same, caloric intake, hopefully same amount of steps. How do you argue with the results, man? Like, even someone who's in shape, right? He's in shape. He's not obese. Like, he's in better shape than a lot of Americans. But he still does look a little bit, I don't want to say flabby, but you know what I mean? Like, he looks a little more filled in, a little more bloated in the U.S. picture.
But thankfully, my girlfriend loves me for my personality. Now, this is
that's crazy. That all melted off.
Ago, with the same diet, actually eating a lot more rice, eating tubs on tubs. Eating pretty much what I want, getting the same amount of steps in per day. As you can see, there's a lot less inflammation around the midsection. I look a lot more defined without having to actually work as hard for it. And this is not an anti-American food system.
I agree.
This is just me doing my own.
Yeah, I love the U.S. Keep that in mind. I want us to be better, right? I also love that other countries are doing great in this regard, right? It makes sense to have food standards and want to take care of your, population. I would hope that's what every country would want to do. Unfortunately, this is not an anti-American thing. I love the U.S. I want us to do better, right? Who wouldn't? If I live here, wouldn't I want to be in one of the best countries for especially for food and stuff? It's just frustrating that we seem to be rapidly getting worse and worse and falling behind, the developed world when it comes to especially food availability and cost and all this stuff. When I look at food standards in Italy and I look at food standards here, it's just extremely frustrating. We're clearly worse. That's not a, that's hate America thing. That's a, why aren't we doing better? What are we doing here?
One thing I love about food that's not made in the U.S. is real. I got these popsicles at the little store down the street, right? I look at the ingredients and I'm so used to there being so many ingredients in the food that we eat.
Yeah.
I get on here, ingredients, mangoes. That's it.
That's it.
They're so good. They're so sweet. I love it here.
See, that's crazy. You go to other countries, it's literally a frozen mango, like it should be, right? That makes sense. The funny part is you can find the simple ingredient frozen treats like this here, but they're the expensive, natural, healthy kind, right? So this would actually be expensive here, but they would have a cheap artificial mango, artificial strawberry flavor, all these things, right? And for popsicles or whatever, and it would be cheap, but it would actually be, the ingredients list would be 12 to 15 ingredients instead of one. Mangoes, strawberries, whatever, right? Whereas wherever she's at, I'm sure this was reasonably priced, and it's just mangoes. That's it. Why isn't that the case here?
Elite feeding us fake food? I eat these apples all the time.
God, I hope not,
I never
man.
knew this is how they got the color.
Holy crap.
Be careful what
I
you
don't know
put
what
in
to
your body,
believe
people.
anymore, man.
This is insane.
Oh, hell no.
Piece of fish.
What is that?
Just gone. Look at that. It's like
Where is that from?
a rubbery watermelon.
I've seen
I can't
this.
believe I got one.
I've seen this. What the hell is this?
The texture is so weird. Like, you gotta bend it so far before it will break.
How is that a watermelon? What? It should not be rubbery.
Y'all seen those videos going around about the rubber bananas and avocados? Well, I think I may have got one. I'm in Texas, by the way. I did an HEB curbside order 2 weeks ago, and I asked for 2 ripe avocados that were ready to eat. I got home and unpacked my groceries, and they were rock hard. I figured, okay, these people just can't read, right? They're just not ripe. So I put them on my counter 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago? What?
These avocados should be moldy by now.
That should be like moldy juice by now. Usually when I buy avocados and they're hard, which is not ideal, but maybe you can't find ripe ones. I mean, it literally takes 2, maybe 3 days, and then it is ready. And if you miss it by even half a day, but let's say you miss it by a full day, then it's got all like, you know, the spots in it. It's not like as good anymore. It's too mushy. I mean, it literally takes, like I said, you could be a day late on these and they're not good anymore. That's how it should be anyway. I have never seen an avocado 2 weeks and it looks like that.
HEB. It just took me literally 30
What
seconds to
on
cut
earth?
it apart. It is so hard. Other side of the shell came
Oh
off.
my
Have you ever
God.
seen that happen? Let me show you what
No.
it feels like. Well, not that you can feel it, but look at this. I
That's,
am pushing
Yuck, that's gross.
so hard. Like so hard that it's turning my finger white. And it's not even denting.
What
Like,
on
let me try to
earth,
cut it with my
man?
fingernail. Look at that.
Okay, yeah, there's something up with those. I hope that's not common, right? Maybe it's a fluke. I don't know. Even if this is not common, but it happens somewhat, you know, to some people, that's not good. I will say that avocados usually don't come from the U.S. They usually, in our case, come from Mexico. So what the hell is Mexico doing? What is this shit? Saw a lady with a rubber watermelon. We just saw that. She couldn't even break a slice. It was crazy. Yeah, that is something up with that. That is freaky shit. Is what I imagine lab-grown food going to be like. Oh my God, man. Put part of it outside and see if anything eats it. That will tell you. This is actually true. That's a good kind of measure. See if the animals will touch it. If they don't, you know, something's up with it. I'm going to cut it there. I think we got quite a good range of stuff there. I don't know, man. It's frustrating. This is, you know, I guess I'm a little bit lucky because, you know, people live in many different places and they might not have access to this. I guess I'm kind of lucky to be in the Chicago area because there's so much European influence here. There's so many people from everywhere, every continent here in Chicago, right? It's a big city, and but there's a lot of European stuff here. And I'm lucky to have a somewhat close, you know, European store where everything's imported. You know, nothing's in English, right? It's like very legit European and even some Asian products. And, you know, that's like better than nothing, right? Like I do that to help us kind of get some decent quality stuff. Otherwise, you got to try and find local, you know, stuff. If you're lucky to live in a rural area, you know, you can have your own chickens, you can, you know, grow your own food. That's like best case scenario, but of course that's not possible for a lot of Americans. So, you know, you got to try to find somewhere more localized that you can get breads and eggs and all these different things. Otherwise, if you're depending on just the big corporate stuff here, it is honestly, a lot of it's garbage, right? It's not cool. Not cool at all. This would be a great one for comments. Let me know your thoughts down below. Maybe this is blown out of proportion, although I don't think it is. You know, the U.S. needs to try and do better. We have to demand better. That's really what it is. I appreciate you watching, and I certainly hope you enjoyed. It's going to be it for this one. My name is Ian. You're watching IWrocker. Until next time, y'all. Catch you later.